Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. There is still one left. There is one left, okay? We've covered all the preferential matchmaking tier 8 tanks in the previous 3 or 4 videos that I've made. Check the list of my previous videos if you want to see those. But there's one left, and it's the Type 59. Type 59, Type 59 Gold. Type 59 gets preferential matchmaking. We watched some pretty exciting games, and did you guys notice the Chinese tank lines have a lot of preferential matchmaking tanks? Like, what the hell is up with that wargame? It's almost like the Russians are friends with the Chinese. There are a lot of Chinese preferential matchmaking tanks. Tanks that only see +1. This tank will never see tier 10s. And -2. It can see tier 6s. This one and the Type 59. Now, this is the worst matchmaking that it will ever see, which is pretty bad. When the Type 59 came out, I got to mention this again. I've mentioned it a couple of times. When these preferential matchmaking tanks first came out, the idea was that they would never face tier 10s, and there was always a template of 3 tiers in a game. There was always 3 tiers. So, do you know what I'm saying? The template for the matchmaker was always 3, 5, 7. So, if you had a preferential matchmaking tank like this one, that the worst tier you could see is 9, and you got in a tier 9 game, there would be 3 tier 9s, 5 tier 8s, of which you would be 1, and 7 tier 7s. So your worst matchmaking possible back in the day. This was years ago when these first came out. The absolute worst matchmaking you could get, there would still be some tier 7s in the game. And these tanks were very popular and very fun to play because of that. They were not as good as the tech tree counterparts, and for that reason got special, preferential matchmaking. Well, Wargaming changed the matchmaker. They didn't change the matchmaking for the tanks, but they changed the matchmaker. Okay, so you will still only see tier 9s. You will never see tier 10s. That is true. But now the template of the matchmaker has changed. There's more possibilities now. And one of the possibilities is this. A lot of the games that we saw, or all the games we saw in the past few days where we featured the IS-6, the KV-5, the FCM-50T, the 112, the T-34-3, the Jagdpanzer 88, the Mutant. I think we featured all of those, all preferential matchmaking tanks. Most of those replays, players doing really well, were fighting with matchmaking of tier 8, 7, 6. Which is still a possibility now, and when you're in one of these preferential matchmaking tanks and you get to fight tier 7s and 6s, it's your day to shine. You know, that's when you should be aggressive and go for it, because that's as good as it gets, right? Now, this is still a possibility. This is as bad as it gets now. He is facing tier 9s and 8s. The template for the matchmaker now is you can have, this is the worst you can get, which was not possible before they changed the matchmaker template. So he's fighting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tier 9s and 8 tier 8s. That's hard in these tanks now. Like if you're in a KV-5 and you're in this matchmaking, oh, it's hard, okay? So for that reason, all these preferential matchmaking tanks took one big step down in playability. And so Wargaming kind of buffed them slightly by buffing their shells. And the Type 59 now has 185 pen on the regular round, 250 alpha. And you notice he's not carrying any of those because this happens a lot. This matchmaking happens a lot. And 185 pen when you're fighting tier 9s and other tier 8s in this meta is garbage. He's got nothing but premium ammo. Well, what do you expect from a guy who's driving a gold tank? He's got 241 pen, 250 alpha, and he's got a couple of HE shells. He's running food. He's got it decked out maximum. So it's going to be hard for him to make credits. But he's shooting higher tier targets, so if he makes his shots, and this is the conundrum, if he makes his shots count versus tier 9 targets and he's shooting premium ammo, he may do okay credit-wise. And we just watch replays. If you watch the last couple of days, we watched some regular schmoes playing their preferential matchmaking tank. No consumables, no automatic fire extinguisher, no food, no premium ammo at all, shooting nothing but regular ammo and doing 6,000 damage in a game and coming out of it with like 90,000 profit, which is not very much for the one of the best games ever played. I featured some of the top damage games played in those tanks ever, and it was like hovering around 100,000 credits, which makes these things tough. You probably make more credits playing an SU-130 PM or a Scorpion G. Even though you face tier 10s, you have a regular round that can pen the higher tiers. And you can make 250,000 credits on a really good game if you're bottom tier with those tanks. With these preferential matchmaking tanks, usually your good game is when you have good matchmaking and you're shooting lower tier targets and it's just tough. This guy has found himself in a tier 9 game and he's going to have a really good game, but he's shooting nothing but premium ammo. And he's running food. So let's take a guess here. How many credits is he going to make? And then you can answer, leave some comments in the comment section. Is it still worth, from making credit perspective, are these preferential matchmaking tanks still worth it? Is this one still worth it? Now, if you answer that question from a for making credits point of view, the answer is probably no, right? But no one buys a Type 59 or a Type 59 Gold just to make credits. This is kind of one of those, yeah, I've got a Type 59. It's an elite special, not very many people have. It's kind of like a status. It's like a woman that has a designer purse. It's all mainly men that play this game. So my audience is mainly guys. You guys are watching. Imagine your wife. If your wife went to the store, some high quality special store, and she bought a Jenny McCartney purse, or whatever her name is, a Liz McCartney, a special handbag for $1,800. And it's beige, and it has some little silver clips, and you open it and it's a large opening purse, but then there's another open on the inside. Look, there's another clip. Click. You can open a smaller section of that purse, and then it has some tassels, and it has an adjustable. It's an armband, and it hangs at your waist, but it has an adjustable. You can make it hang down lower, and it's not a really bright beige. It's sort of a beige. It's a fall color, but it's acceptable during the spring as well. If your wife went out and bought an $1,800 Elizabeth McCartney purse, you'd say she was nuts, and you'd have a big fight, right? And you'd tell her not to waste your hard-earned money, and you'd be sleeping on the couch for a week, right? Because she'd be bringing the purse home and saying, "How do you like the new purse I got?" And you would be angry, and she'd be furious, and no nookie for you. No sugar tonight in my coffee. No sugar tonight in my tea. Da na 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 na. Right? That's what would happen. You'd think she was insane. That's what these tanks are like, right? You don't see it because you're a guy and this is a tank. You're saying, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with having a Type 59. It's very shiny. It's got a good concealment." Your wife would, if you spent $80 on this, your wife would think you're nuts, right? It's all from whatever perspective you're at. Einstein proved that, right? Einstein proved that. It's all dependent on what reference frame. So, is it worth it for a credit making perspective? No, it's a waste of money. but from you know, if you want to walk down for coffee with the ladies and you want them to really admire your accessories, then it's okay. That's right. That's how it works. Don't deny it. Don't deny it. What is her name? It's not Elizabeth McCartney, Jenny McCartney. There is a Paul McCartney's daughter. I guess he set her up with his millions of dollars. Is a quote unquote designer. You know, she had some people make some purses and her name's on them, and they cost like $2,000. And those are not the really expensive ones. So if your wife buys one of those, there's worse. Yeah. It's all a relative perspective. Just a little aside here, guys. Just a little aside, since we're talking about perspective, and I mentioned Einstein. Think about this. We are living on Earth with this gravitational field, and we're moving through space at a certain speed, which is a combination of the speed of our Earth circling the sun, and the speed of the sun, and the speed of the Milky Way, all those vectors added up. We're hurtling through space at a certain velocity in proximity to a certain amount of mass, and time for us proceeds at a certain pace from our frame of reference. Time is a variable, and it is affected by those things I just mentioned. So time is progressing for us as at the rate of progression relative to humans on Earth. And we are so arrogant and stupid that we think that means something, that is that is relevant somehow in the cosmos. When we start talking about the universe, we think that's meaningful. So there's scientists that are trying to figure out how old is the universe? When did the universe start? It's 14.3 billion years. They talk about billions of years and stuff, but it's all relative to us, and we are insignificant. And think about this: a photon of light that was generated at the instant of the Big Bang, that hypothetically travels through space for dozens of billions of years, and eventually the photon arrives on Earth, and it comes through our atmosphere, and it comes down, and it smashes into the white pasty rear end of your wife, who's sunbathing on a beach in Hawaii with her new purse, and the photon goes into her ass. From the perspective of the photon, which traveled for 14.7 billion of our years through space to get there and have a death as it smashes into your wife's ass, from the perspective of that photon, which was traveling at the speed of light, no time has elapsed. Because for something traveling at the speed of time, for something traveling at the speed of light, time does not progress at all. So from the photon's perspective, the universe was formed and ended for it instantaneously. Think about that. So from the photon's perspective, the universe does not have an age. And from our perspective, we're deciding whether it's 14.7 or 14.6 billion years. How arrogant are we, such a minute, insignificant life form, to be trying to label the universe with something that is a variable, which is time? When the real answer is the universe is instantaneous and infinite at the same time, depending on the perspective. It doesn't have an age. Yeah, that's a little aside. Leave some comments. Let me know what you guys think. It's maybe I should do a separate POV channel video on that, because it's and you can get deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole of thinking about that stuff. It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. Yeah. I was a scientist, physicist, and I get off thinking about that stuff. So I find it's like a puzzle, something to entertain these puzzles entertain your mind. But speaking of entertaining, the game has lasted 14 and a half minutes now, and there's 18 seconds left, and there's 877 HP on that Scorpion. He does not get to ram because the Scorpion tracked him. He's got 10, 9, 1 ram, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And everything is balanced in the universe. And the question I asked, how many credits did he make? 6,697 damage, 6 kills, firing nothing but premium ammo. 64,000 credits. Just doesn't cut it. Leave some comments, guys. Leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. And I will catch you. You never know what time. Depends what planet and where you are in the cosmos.